We have now arrived at lecture number 4, the sources. Let's have a closer look at those. What is a reputable source? It has to be from authorities. It has to have high credibility. A source can be believed with high degree of certainty. A source likely to give accurate information based on research, first-hand knowledge. And it is recognized in the field of academic discipline. Now, you can just think of yourself. If you come with some controversial arguments, what kind of argument, what kind of source would you like to support you? What about an article in the local newspaper? Or what about the World Bank, United Nations, the Norwegian government? It's different. It's very different quality, and you have to think of who supports me. Is it some crazy guy out from the bush, or is it a reputable, heavy source? You have to think there are heavy and there are not heavy sources, and you have to choose the heavy ones mainly. Journal articles are also heavy sources. A journal article is published in a scientific journal. It has been through a desk of editors, and it has been peer-reviewed. So peer-reviewed articles in a scientific journal is a heavy, nice source. You have to ask these critical questions. Is the source recommended by somebody you trust? Is there a clear line of reasoning with supporting evidence? Does it include a detailed list of references that are easy to find? Is it easy to find and check these references? Is it a primary source? Does it use reputable sources or just popular press? Secondary sources. If it is mainly popular press, stay away. Authentic. That means of undisputed origin. It can be proved that it is what it claims to be. This is very important these days because now you have companies or private persons that produce fake news. They produce fake news and pretend they are, let us say, from the American government or Russian government or Norwegian ones, or from some reputable source. So you have to check the URL. If it claims to be from the educational authorities in the United States, it will say EDU as the last letters in the URL. If it claims to be from NASA, it will say nasa.gov, G-O-V. If it just claims to be from NASA and G-O-V is not there, it's probably false. Be critical, check up the authenticity. Or is it valid? Does it follow the conventions? Is it a correct research method? Currency and reliability. Currency, it is still relevant in the present. So it must have been recently published. So if you ask for statistics about, let us say, the environment in Norway, you should come up with very recent statistics. Last year, this year, but you cannot come with 20 years statistics. It has to be recently updated. Some works can be old. If it is a seminal work, it is an original and far-reaching and influencing for a long time, like Adam Smith, The Wealth of Nations, more than 200 years old. Karl Marx, if you want to say something about what Marxism is, you can quote Marx. If you want to have some seminal book about environment, Rachel Carson, The Silent Spring from 1963, that's fine. That's seminal work. but you have to argue that it is of special value. So then you have to write in your essay the seminal work of Rachel Carson in 1963. Then you have argued it's seminal. That's why you have this source, even if it is old. It has to be reliable. Can it be trusted? Is it a trustworthy source? Is it recognized, this expert? So if you have the name of the author, put that name of the author into Google and search. You will usually find, if this is a recognized researcher, you will find many links saying that, oh yeah, he is very good, etc. Or if he is not an expert, he just pretends to be, you will probably find that information as well. And you have to find out if this author has no personal vested interests in the outcomes. It might be fine that this vested interest does not have any impact on the article, but you have to be aware of it and be critical. Is it a reputable source? Like, it is better to have the UN, UNEP, FAO, World Health Organization, World Bank, CIA Factbook, etc., rather than some popular newspaper. Replicated, replications, yes. The results of the experiments have been retested by others and confirm your findings. This is very common in natural science, that this result has been confirmed by this and this and this research group. Very good. Increase reliability. You have to select mainstream, the sources regarded as leading authorities. Go for the mainstream, the Nobel laureates, the scientists who are very frequently quoted, etc. Refer to other sources in brief, just to get other perspective. But your main source material should be those that contribute most to your own line of reasoning. Just be aware of cherry picking. 1 or 2 seminal works. Seminal works are important. Why? Because it means, it signals that you have actually been doing your homework. You have been going back and checking up those who actually started the study area. And then you use the seminal works. Show that you're able to discriminate between the most relevant, salient sources and more marginal sources. So if you bring in a marginal source, fine. But then you have to say something about that this is marginal. But it brings in a nice perspective, so you bring it in anyway. Next will be about analytical writing.